Ready to go? Everybody's been telling me what a big week we have this week here. I've been telling everybody the big week was last week. That was a huge week for us to go on the road and get 2 wins to make this a big week. I don't think this is a big week unless we'd have swept those 2, which we did in dramatic fashion. So it does make this a big week with number 1 and Kentucky coming in on Sunday.
Just start with facing a South Carolina team, obviously number 1 in the country, and I'm not sure whether Aaliyah Boston is healthy or not.
I don't think we'll know. Yeah, I did see in a press conference where Dawn had said that if it had been the national championship game, she probably would have come back and played. So, who knows? We'll prepare like she is going to be there. It's good for us. But a team that really, punched us in the mouth to start the game down there, and then we battled back and played pretty close for the next 3 quarters. So we come out with a loss but some positive thoughts and some things not to do. We've learned not to drive it at her. She has proven that she can take care of that. So I think we learned some stuff that we can carry around, but I do think we built a little confidence enough to go into this one that it's not like it would normally be facing the number 1 team in the country. We faced some teams that are really good, but it's just got a different sense to it.
How many number 1 teams have you faced since you've been here? Is this first or?
Probably was Mississippi State maybe. We'd have to go back and look there. That'd probably be the only chance we had opportunity-wise to play somebody ranked 1.
How significant is that for you? I mean, if y'all could pull an upset.
It'd be the first for this group, and I think a lot of firsts are cool for this group to beat it. We've not beat a ranked team, I don't think. I'd have to go back and look at that. So to go from not beating a ranked team to beating the ranked team would be really, really cool. But, I think for our fans' sake, it'll be a Thursday night. Great week with men starting tonight with Auburn, and then 2 more ranked teams coming in. So it'd be huge.
How important to get kind of a Sunday atmosphere into the Thursday night game?
I would tell you that probably less than normal because they're used to playing in front of 10,000 people. They play in front of 10, 13,000 all the time, so it doesn't have as much impact. It's important for our kids to have a good atmosphere, but it doesn't have to be that massive one. That's kind of why we've put so much emphasis on Sunday's crowd. We know a lot of people will be going to the men's game tonight. We've got is it a volleyball? I mean, not volleyball, but gymnastics again. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if we were going to ask our fans to only come to one women's basketball game this week, we picked the Kentucky game because it's a Sunday, it's Dollar Day. There's a lot of cool things going on for families. So the atmosphere needs to be good, but it doesn't have to be that overwhelming because, again, South Carolina's used to playing in front of a big crowd. They're not going to be fazed by anything like that.
For sure, Georgia atmosphere was pretty dead that Thursday compared to
that did affect us. It was our smallest crowd of the year, and we felt it. And that's why I'm saying we need to have a good one. It doesn't have to be a record-breaking crowd, but it needs to be what we've used to drawing.
I think a big thing would be getting students out there.
Students would help, yeah, and they're active. That's what brings liveliness to it. So I know they're going to be camped out for today's game, and hopefully we can. I'm going to talk to the crowd tonight at one of the media timeouts. So we're going to do everything we can do to talk a few people into coming at some point in time this weekend. But it does make a difference.
We've talked about just playing to that level to where fans want to come out.
Yep.
I mean, just how important is it to continue to play to that level?
They keep getting rewarded. You've got to keep getting them rewarded for it, and whether that's with a win or engaging with them after the game, even after a tough loss. We've got to make it important for them to come back and experience it live. It's cool to watch it on TV, but you've got to make that live experience something different. We do it, with trying to sign autographs and take pictures and be out there after the game, and then hopefully the style of play. It's going to be good basketball. We're, hopefully not going to turn it over very many times, and then a chance to see the number 1 team in the country. I think that's going to draw a few people out that want to see what that looks like.
How important is it to have all your bullets working?
Yeah, this is not one of those games where you can look down and pick out somebody that didn't do something. We've got to have all of them to beat the number 1 team, and we've got to be, you're not going to ever stop them. You just can't hope to do that. If you go in hoping to do that, you've demoralized yourself. We got to pick and choose some things and hope things go our way a little bit. Maybe you get a break. Maybe Aaliyah Boston is, sorer than what she had been, and they don't feel like this is the national championship game, and they beat us at their place, those types of things. You got to have them at their, maybe their B game or B plus game, but we need ours to be A plus for sure.
What about Sunday? Sunday's win, I mean, you're down, 13 with 5.5 to go. What were you?
It actually ended up being 5:04 to go. We didn't score. The timeout was at 5:32, and it took us a minute to score, but we were still down 13 when it went under 4 minutes. That could be that game where you look back at the end of the year and go, this was a tipping point for us. If you lose that game, it completely changes your mentality. It changes practice. It changes the plane ride home, all of those things. So it could be the game we look back that tipped us over the point to get to where we hope to go.
How big was Tall for you last week?
Just irreplaceable. Should have been SEC Player of the Week. I'll say it out loud. I don't, she should have been. We get 2 road wins. She averages 26.5 points a game, 13 in the fourth quarter and a huge comeback, and 25 or 22 in the second half. But I think for her just to be we're going to reward her. We'll make sure her teammates and coaches reward her here in practice, because I think without that spark, she hadn't played great up until that point. She'll be the first one to tell you. We were about to make some defensive changes, but she got going, and then we got contagious, and everybody got going down the stretch. So I think it's a sign of growth for her. That her last year, she would have had her head down instead of up, and she doesn't finish well. So instrumental in bringing everybody back together and finishing that run.
You look for South Carolina to do anything special on her after the game she's been having?
I think they'll do to her what they did last time. I think they'll make her catch and shoots really hard. They did it to her and Amber both. I think they'll really run at them. They'll take away their catch and shoot opportunities. So we've got to be really good at creating them. I wouldn't suspect they would make very many changes. Their stuff worked for about 30 minutes of the game. We just got really hot in transition the last 10. But I think we'll see the same type of defense. Now, if Boston is out, that takes a shot blocker away from the rim. So we'll have kind of plan A and plan B this week when it comes to that.
The way Missouri attacked you guys inside, is that
Yeah.
now a focus to make sure that –
I mean, we will give up a certain number of post-up twos. If a team that Missouri's a 3-point shooting team, and they said, okay, well, we're going to attack you inside. If we can take a team out of their game plan, we'll live with a certain number of them. But we got to that point. We were at that point at that 5-minute, 32-second mark. We couldn't give up one more. If we'd given up one more, we would have lost. We'll give up a certain number of post-ups by guards if it takes away what they normally do. But we continue to get better and better at double teaming, playing in the right position, who we're not going to guard on the perimeter. The problem with South Carolina is there's no holes. If you double off of somebody, they're good passers out of it. If you don't guard somebody on the perimeter, Ty Harris will find them for an open shot. So there's no pick your poisons with those guys. It's all poisonous. You just have to go with what you think is going to give you the best chance to win. So giving up 2 sometimes is not that bad for us if we're getting 3s on the other end. But they took away our 3s, which that's the combination they have with being the number 1 team, good on both ends of the floor.
Because Boston got like 25 boards, but even without her, I mean,
Yeah.
just how important is rebounds for this?
Well, we cannot get the rebounds. 22 of the rebounds she got, we couldn't do anything about. But there were 3 rebounds she got around on the floor that were 6 feet. We got to beat her all 3 of those. We've got to get every 6 foot and under rebound there is. We've got to get every loose ball there is. And it's not just her. Victoria Saxton has been a all-conference kid against us for 2 years now. Herbert Harrigan's playing great. I don't know if their freshman Canadian kid will be back playing. She missed their last game. I think she was playing with their national team, so she probably would be back. They've got other pieces. Aaliyah Boston just put on a Herculean performance against us last time. But those types of rebounds, we're still not going to get those 9-foot rebounds that are up there high, but we got to get all those 6 foot and under ones.
How do you get Chelsea going?
Just stick with her, just like we did with Leia. You stick with a kid. I mean, it's if anybody that's ever played any sport knows there's a 3-week little window there, and you stick with her. You keep calling her number. You keep going to her. I look down and she had 18 shot attempts. That means we're still being aggressive. She's still being aggressive. And we all know that eventually they catch up. She started out shooting it so well, it's eventually going to catch itself up. So you stay with her, you keep her confident, and then you see what she's doing. She's out there shooting right now, extra before practice, and she'll find her way out of it. But
Is there a little bit of pressing with her, do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, y'all could talk to her about it. I don't think so. I think if y'all would have been on that bench, if a kid that was pressing and was upset about it, she wouldn't have been high-fiving. And she was celebrating more than anybody we had. And that's another sign of maturity. That's a kid who wanted to win that game so badly. I would have agreed, maybe so. I would have, but not the way she was reacting. She was happy for everybody. She was looking for people. She was mad when she missed an open amber at one point in time. My bads. So that's why there's no concern whatsoever from any of us.
When you look at the halfway point now, you kind of jumbled up there in that 4 spot.
Mm-hmm.
Just how critical is? I know this week's tough with who
Sure.
you're facing, but
Yeah.
as you start the second half.
Well, the rest of February. I mean, these next 7 games. Our next 7 games are going to be, 5 of those teams are ranked. 5 of the teams are ahead of us in the polls. 2 of them are below us. We're sitting on 6 wins. I'm getting ready to tell the team in just a minute. It was February 24th last year before we got to 6 wins. So you've got to keep that same approach going. That's what made last week so huge. You roll into this week knowing you've got an opportunity to do nothing but move up. You start knocking off the number 1 team or the number 15 team or all these ranked teams we're going to see. Now you see yourself rising in the RPI dramatically, 8-10 points at a time instead of 1 or 2 points. So this is the time of the year, too, we draw back from last year. This is where we started losing 8 of our last 9. So we were 5-2, I think, last year, and then lost 8 of our last 9. So you keep talking about that. We remember how that felt, remember how hard it was, and not to let those things happen to you again. That's why we talk about them as they're happening, so we can talk about them to learn from them. But I think if we, again, start focusing on outcomes of games rather than how we're approaching it, that's when you start to let stuff slip in, doubt slip in, pressure slip in, and this team's been really good at not doing that.
Several teams around the SEC with injuries right now.
Yeah.
Including Howard at Kentucky. I mean,
Yeah.
Just kind of talk to that a little bit.
You hate to see it for our league, especially late in the year, because I do think that could affect the committee's talk in the room as to the quality of the league. And we're all hoping for the most possible at-large bids we can get, because that's what makes this league survivable. Knowing that you don't have to be 1, 2, or 3, you can get in if you're the 6th or 7th team. So I hope that all those kids' injuries are healing. Some of them do look to be season-ending, and we care about our kids in our league. We just don't want to see it ever happen. But you show up and play the team that shows up. So if Ryan Howard dresses out on Sunday, Aaliyah Boston dresses out, if Ayanna Mitchell's back, if Kennedy Carter comes back, for those guys, you play the team that shows up. And I hope that for our league's sake that some of those kids either come back or the teams have enough time to figure out how to play without them. This didn't happen in the last week of the season. We're still got 3.5 weeks of this thing. So even if a kid has happened to be out for the year, the team will have time to adapt and adjust and hopefully can allow our at-large bids to be where we hope they would be. All right. Thank you all.